Happy Friday, Sainers. Welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Welcome to the round 18 match preview. We take on the Sydney Swans, Sunday slot, 3:15 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. A winnable game, I think. A winnable game. We'll quickly go over the extended bench for us that was announced last night. Liam Stocker, Ryan Burns, Hugh Boxall, Max Heath, Liam O'Connell out. Jimmy Webster injured and Darcy Wilson omitted. For Sydney, Laddams, Rice, Francis, Florent, Warner, Corey Warner that is, and out, two big outs, and this is why I'm feeling a little bullish about this game. Tom Papley is out, and Joel Amadi, who is, one of those players that isn't consistent but can bob up and be an X factor in that forward half, and we know that Sydney aren't really firing on all cylinders in that forward half just yet. So two of their key forwards out is really positive for us. Sydney's form has picked up, so they are on a bit of a winning run. I think they've won the last 3 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 of the last 4, to put themselves back in that running for 8th position. There's 7 wins and 9 losses. We have 5 wins and 11 losses. I'm really excited for this game, to be brutally honest. I am very pumped. I think we can absolutely win this game. I think our form in the last 3 weeks without getting the win, I've said this on pretty much every video I've done in the last 2 weeks, but we've been pretty good. We probably would have beaten a lot of teams around us on the ladder if we had played them, but we're playing teams that have been pushing for that top 4 position and the top team in Collingwood, obviously. And this week we're playing an informed Sydney who are vying for that spot, and they're going to be desperate to get the win. So it's another big test for us. They're finding their feet. They got Goulden back. That Chad Warner's in good form, obviously. Heaney. They've got those 3 that are really important to them. But we've got some levers to pull as well. Like, what do they do with Naz? Does James Jordan tag him? Forward of centre. Their back line, I think, can be got at. I don't think, there's too many mismatches there. I think they're not generally the biggest back line. And that's always been a problem for us, is height around the ground. And when I think of Sydney, I don't think... obviously, Grundy, Laddams is in, so there's a little bit of extra height there, but I don't think in their forward half, McLean, I think, is another one, and their back half, I don't think it's going to be a huge issue for us. We've played on much taller teams, much bigger teams, and done okay. So I think against Sydney, we should be all right. Feeling of the game, I think most Sainers are in a little bit of a positive spirit. I don't think we are... going into this game thinking, damn, we're going to get pantsed, which has kind of been the case against the Dogs, which happened. Against the Pies, didn't happen. A little bit against Fremantle, didn't happen. And even last week, a lot of people thought Hawthorn would win by a lot. Didn't happen by any means. So this one's actually one that you kind of look at and go, oh, based on recent form, and it's at Marvel, and they've got Papley and Amadi out, who knows? We just need to kind of manage Heaney, who does love to drift forward and kick goals, and Warner. That's the thing about Sydney. They're mids, even Goulden back now. They hit the scoreboard. They are so effective forward of centre. They are so dangerous. They're not just, they get the ball and supply to the forwards. They hit the scoreboard more than probably any midfield sort of setup in the comp. So we're going to have to worry about that, but they're going to have to worry about Naz. I think Max Hall is another one that I'm excited to watch again. And what I wanted to bring up, which I thought was a fun stat, I don't want to go into the stats too much because that's Woody's department, but I noticed that in the last 5 weeks, in terms of kicking threat rating, so the threat rating, just so you know, is a measure of how often a player's kick results in a shot at goal later in the chain compared to expectation. And then retention rating, obviously a measure of how often a player's kick is retained by a teammate compared to expectation. So in the last 5 weeks, which is kind of, the bulk of when we've done a little bit of decent work against some good teams, Bulldogs are the number 1 threat rating. No surprise there. They take the game on. We are 5th with a 3.11, and Sydney are in the minuses. So they don't go for those kicks. We're 5th. But the best thing about it is we're 5th for that, but we're also 4th for retention. So we're taking on kicks, but we're retaining it at the same time. Sydney are below us there, but they're also a much safer ball-in-hand team. And if you watch the Fremantle game, they shift it, they go sideways, they just love to switch the ball and then go down the line to a Grundy. They don't despite what you'd think about Sydney, where they've got Warner, Heaney, Goulden, they can run through the midfield, Blakey off half back, who's very dangerous, the Lizard, and we'll have to watch him as well. They don't take the game on as much as we think. And that's in the last 5 weeks when their form's been actually good. So if we can continue that and take the game on but hit those kicks, we might get some bang for buck going the other way. And I guess we saw it against the Hawks last week. It was just going inside 50 and nailing a kick on the lead to a forward, or even the forwards just understanding what the mids want and the mids understanding what the forwards want. There's just a miscommunication there. But from half back to really going inside 50, we have no problems. So if we play a Heath or we play Marshall forward, or the forwards are just on, we should be scoring in this game. It should be a competitive game. It should be a very close game. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it's very similar to the Hawthorn game, but hopefully we can be a little bit more efficient going inside 50. I don't think, we've been bad in other parts of the game. Like in the last 5 weeks, we are 5th for clearances, centre clearances, mind you. Only the Dogs, Geelong, Gold Coast and Carlton are ahead of us. Sydney are well below in that area. Stoppages, Sydney are number 1. We are 7th. So that's one area they can get us. And I think the stoppages that's the Warner Heaney effect. They're just in great form. So overall, like both sides are coming into this in reasonable form. Sydney have got the wins on the board. We haven't. But I think a lot of Saners can say that there's very likely that can change going into Sunday's game. You know, Jack Steele found a little bit of form. McRae and Steele are going to have to be huge in this one with the midfield. I'd love to see Naz go through the guts more. He played in the midfield in the last quarter against Hawthorn, and he had 15 disposals and took the absolute piss. So that would be great to see him go through there again and give them an option, or give them another headache. And my watch, I don't normally do this in a preview. I don't want to put the microscope on anyone really, but I'm going to do it anyway. Jack Higgins, his season average for goals is 2.1, but the bulk of that was in the first 10 weeks when he was averaging about 3.4 goals a game. He's kicked about 5 goals in the last 9 games or something. I can't remember what the exact stat is, but it's not great. And I think he's a major difference in these games. You know, if he bobs up with 3 goals against Hawthorn, maybe we're a lot closer. I just feel like when we win, Higo is on. And when we lose, he's not on. And I think he's very much a barometer type player. As much as Naz is brilliant, and he's probably going to get his 30, 35 disposals anyway, I think he's gone about 9 weeks straight with 25 kicks or more in a game, which is just ludicrous. We need a forward to just take the game on, to really hit the scoreboard. We haven't had that since maybe Sharman against Fremantle. I think when we won by 10 goals and he kicked 4 or 5 goals. So to me, this is really critical. I think it's an important game to just get value for what we're putting the work in the last 3 weeks. We beat them last time we played them. The last time before that was 14 points to Sydney, and before that was also 14 points. Actually, it was 14 points to us. So we are going into this winning the last 2 against Sydney. 1 in Sydney, 1 at Marvel, and then before that it was 14 points to Sydney at Marvel. So form-wise, I wouldn't think we're too dissimilar. They've lost to the Dogs, they've beaten Freo, they've beaten Port, they've beaten Richmond. We've played Hawthorn, Fremantle, Collingwood, and the Dogs. So, we've played some pretty good teams. And they played Adelaide, and that was only 5 weeks ago. They got done by 90 points in Sydney. So maybe that was a turning point for them. But I think even the Dogs game for us seems like a little bit of a turning point. We haven't got the win, which I will reiterate, but I think it's coming. And I think it could happen on Sunday. So get to the game, Saners. It's 3:15. It's Marvel. This is a winnable game. Tyroo, I haven't even mentioned him, which is good because, I mean, it's not bad to mention him, but he's been talked up so much. I feel like it's good to just let him do his thing on Sunday. And I'm super excited to see him again. Naz, I think we're absolutely a chance to win this game. And if you're available on Sunday in Melbourne, get to the game. Let's get a bit of a crowd going. These are the games that are almost more important to turn up to because we are certainly going to outnumber Sydney Swan supporters. Or maybe they're going to turn up anyway. South Melbourne represent. They're going to turn up. They always do. But we need to be loud. And this helps so much with a young team getting them over the line. Build that momentum, bring your voice, and get to the game on Sunday. So on that note, Saners, let me know how you're feeling about the game. Put it in the comments, and hopefully I'll be talking about a win post-game in my review on Sunday. Take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.